I want to go through some of the teams in the Western Conference. So I put them in groups based on their record, and I want us to just rank them inside these groups.
Okay.
So the first group's the obvious one, the 7-1 teams. So we've got the Thunder, the Suns, and the Warriors. How would you rank those three teams in order?
Love it. I would go number one, Thunder. I still
Yep.
think they're phenomenal. Last night, maybe they got exposed a little bit on some little immaturities and weaknesses, but the truth is they can defend like crazy, and they didn't have Artstein last night, which I think would make a difference when you talk about going up against Nikola Jokic. So them number one, clearly. And I would actually go number two, Golden State Warriors, number
Me
three,
too.
Suns. I have great respect for all three of these teams, and I think they're all really good. But the defense that the Warriors are playing is unbelievable. I think everybody, you look at them and they're the number three offense, I think number two defense, or maybe number one defense even. But you watch them and you go, okay, they're kind of a two-way team right now. But defensively, what they did to Boston last night, Boston's impossible to guard, and yet they somehow found ways to shut them down for long periods. I think it's sustainable. I think they have the right types of guys there that want to defend. A lot of guys that are out there like excited to defend, and Draymond has them all kind of operating on a string. They're all playing like Draymond in terms of effort and rotation. So I think the Warriors are number two for me.
I'm with you. I thought that was going to be my hot take. So, but you beat me to it there. I love what they're doing, and you're absolutely right about the guys they have. I mean, even yes, you have guys who love to play defense. Gary Payton the second, D'Anthony Melton
Loves
when he's
it.
healthy and out there. Obviously, Draymond, their
Wiggins is
entire
playing
center
well.
rotation. Wiggins is coming along. Kuminga really can get enthusiastic about defense at times. But then you even have a guy like Buddy Hield or Brandon Podziemski or some of these guys who are trying to prove themselves, certainly at different stages of their career, but trying to prove themselves for one reason or the other. Those guys are giving their all. Here's the other thing. You mentioned their defensive rating. They have a defensive rating of 103.8 right now. I think the Thunder are clearly the number one, like by a mile, the number one defense in the league. It's like they're giving up 94 points per 100 possessions. It's insane. And that's a lot of people have written and talked about that and how this might be the best defense of sort of the modern era. The Warriors' defensive rating is 103.8. That's still 5 points better than the Timberwolves' number one rated defense last season. Now, small sample, all that stuff, but just they're out to this amazing pace here. And I think they're doing it really interestingly. So Steve Kerr has been basically using 12 guys a night.
Yeah.
And nobody on that team is averaging 30 minutes per game, including Steph. I think that what you're seeing is just, yes, you're getting guys excited about playing defense, and then they can just be excited in these like little spurts. It's almost, strangely enough, for Steve Kerr, an Olympic style of rotation pattern here, where you're just playing these guys in these short bursts, so they're just able to give their all. The Warriors are second in the league in deflections as a team, second in contested shots as a team, and first in charges drawn as a team. That's all that hustle stuff, man. That's what they're doing, and they're out there swarming. You mentioned that Celtics game, like they're just throwing double teams left and right. I think this is working. I think the depth thing, I think Steve Kerr's got a real plan here, and he's talking about how important their defense is, and they're clearly delivering on that.
So just to use your metaphor, in this instance, Jason Tatum would be Pat Spencer. Is that right? Like, he's the one guy not playing.
Can't find your minutes,
Sorry, man. We can only go 12 deep. I can't go to my 15th guy here. Yeah, I like it though, because honestly, it really is what's happening. And here's what's interesting to me about the NBA. When you watch it year after year after year, there's always a new advantage built in. And then a year or two later, a team figures out here's what the adjustment is to that. And, we saw this with the Warriors. The ball was popping and everything else. And then the Rockets came in and said, okay, well, what if we just switched everything and all that screening and stuff is negated a little bit. And then there's an echo to that. I think the guard to guard screening action in the NBA is insane. All these teams run five out spacing, guard to guard screen where you could turn the corner unless you trap. And then there's a brief moment when the guard screener just releases and you throw them a quick pass. And the Celtics do this as well as anyone. The Thunder do this as well as anyone. And it generates a lot of driving lanes and a lot of open threes. Well, what you're saying, and I agree with you, by the way, they have guys that are just good at those switches and communication, but also that just play so hard in small doses. So now that guard to guard screen that's so hard, and there's only a second open or a half second open, they're switching those and recovering so quick because their guys are going all out. And you might be onto something about these shorter stints, more guys, because it doesn't matter who you are. We just need you to be able to close out at full speed on that action. And it's working.
And what was interesting in that Boston game was that they outscored the Celtics. I had the stat in front of me before. It was like 23-7 in clutch time or something crazy. It's like, yeah, they were fresh at the end. And obviously the Celtics were injured in that they know Jaylen Brown and missing a couple other people. Obviously, still no Porzingis, but yeah, that's definitely part of it. All right, 3 lost teams in the Western Conference. We're going to rank them. This is the biggest group here: the Rockets, Mavericks, Kings, Nuggets, Timberwolves. Rockets, Mavericks, Kings, Nuggets, Timberwolves. Who's number 1 in that group?
Nobody has separated yet. So I think that we're in a spot where I'm almost comfortable putting them all together. I think I would go Sacramento at the bottom of that along with Houston, just because they're a little bit less proven, although I love Houston. They're one of my favorite teams to watch right now. And I think I would put Minnesota, Denver, and Dallas at the top of that in some order. But some of that is just expectation, right? We expected those 3 teams to be right there in the top of the standings. So I'm playing to that. I'd say Denver at the end of that, probably Minnesota at the top. Actually, Dallas might go below Denver right now. Man, I'd say Minnesota up top. They did beat Denver. They have been looking good. I would go Denver and then Dallas. But the truth is, all of those teams are separated in a way that we do this in 2 days. I might flip that.
Yeah, it's funny. I had the Mavericks at the top, then Denver, then Minnesota, and then I had the Kings over the Rockets. But this was the hardest group. I have no idea. I've got Dallas in there almost out of respect of them making the finals last year. Luka Doncic is Luka Doncic.
Is he though? At the moment,
that's
he's
true.
Not.
That's
At
true.
The moment, that's why, because I'm with you. If you were saying projecting forward, it's almost a different question. But if we just go off these 8 games, Luka hasn't quite got his rhythm yet.
Yeah, so maybe that's sort of the baked-in thing is once I expect Luka to be better, then maybe everything else sort of clicks into place. Not an easy one, that one. All right, last one is the 4 lost teams. This to me is a more interesting grouping. The Grizzlies, the Lakers, and the Clippers.
Man, again, if you're asking me right now, the Grizzlies right now are a hospital team, right? They're just piecing together who they can throw out on the court. If you're projecting forward, I would put them number 1. And Ja Morant, by the way, is like unbelievably transcendent to start this year. I love what the Clippers do, but I don't really buy it. I think James Harden's not a 48-minute player anymore. The defense I buy, but you watch him, he wears down over the course of the game. So I'm inclined to maybe go Lakers, Grizzlies, Clippers in that order. But if you were projecting forward, I would easily have Memphis at the top.
Yeah, I ended up having Grizzlies, Lakers, Clippers. The Lakers are in in a little bit of a tailspin here. Their defense can't stop a nose. Like, they can't stop anything, man. Like, their paint defense is one of the worst 2 or 3 paint defenses in the league. You know, JJ Redick is walking out on press conferences because he's only got 2 or 3 guys giving any effort. And so you got all that. And the Grizzlies, yeah, I mean, they're a patchwork, a little bit duct tape team right now, but they're putting it together, right? Like, Ja Morant is back. You feel good about him. Once they get Desmond Bane back, you feel really good about things. Zach Edey has been the best rookie in this class so far, and he's really given them sort of that Jonas Valanciunas, Steven Adams, just big dude who can screen for Ja Morant and then just let Ja Morant do Ja Morant things, including 360 layups twice. You know, it doesn't like whatever he wants. So I'd probably have Grizzlies at the top of that list, then the Lakers. And I'm with you. I'm not buying the Clippers thing. Like, Norm Powell's not going to average 25 points per game. Like, that's just not going to that's not going to be a thing all season long.
No, and I even think with the Harden thing, who's awesome and he's phenomenal in the first, and he's excellent in the second, and he's pretty good in the third, and he's pretty worn down by the fourth. And I just think when you look at him, I think that's probably what he's capable of.
All right, that's it for the Western Conference tiers here. We'll see what happens with the Denver Nuggets. Last Denver Nuggets thing, Adam. Do you think Russell Westbrook finishes the season in Denver?
Yes, I think there's almost no question. 1, I don't know that teams want to trade him. And 2, Denver, if they traded him, they would need a point guard back. Like, they need what he provides, even though it comes with baggage. But I'm optimistic, man. Westbrook has done a better job settling in than I expected. It was ugly early, but I think that especially if you could find opportunities for him to play with Jokic even when Murray comes back, I think he's very, very useful.
Adam Mares, DNVR Sports, the All NBA show podcast. Thanks for coming on, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.